Okay, so now we're going to review the course on reverse cause and effect. I've explained it and shown it to you in action. Now I want you to hit stop on this class, hit the stop button, and take a few minutes to sit down with pen and paper and write by hand one full page on what this tool is and how it works in your own words to yourself. Experts in the science of learning have proven that this is an important step in absorbing something new, that you take a few minutes and translate what you've just learned into your own words. There is no grade, and I won't be looking at what you write, but you'll find that it forces you to clarify your thinking and consolidate what you're learning. I'll be explaining the tool more after this, so if you have gaps in your learning, they will be filled. But don't skip this step. It's vital. You need to wrestle with the problem yourself. Please do it now. Okay, so here we are back again. Presumably, you were able to encapsulate what I'm teaching with varying degrees of success. The process of you putting it down on paper helps you see what you understand and what you need to work on, which makes it easier for you to absorb the rest of this lesson. The whole point is for you to be able to take these tools home and use them to consistently make your scripts work. Okay, so now let's do a brief exercise. I'll start a simple story building backwards, then you take over and finish it. It will be an easy example, like building a birdhouse in woodshop so you get hands-on experience with the tools. Let's say that it's an action comedy about a bank robbery that goes wrong. The object of this story is that the head robber gets back to their hideout and opens the gym bag to discover they accidentally stole the bank president's dirty laundry. So we would say that the object of the story is that the head robber gets back to their hideout only to discover that his idiot henchman took the bank president's dirty laundry. The final effect that demonstrates that on screen with real actors, Jackson unzips the gym bag only to discover that Skinner took the bank president's dirty laundry instead of the money. The immediate cause of that, Jackson changes transportation multiple times to elude any followers on his way back to their hideout. The cause of that, Skinner walks out the bank's side door and hands the gym bag to Jackson in an alley. They walk off in different directions, disappearing as the bank's alarms sound. Skinner beats up the bank president who resisted, then picks up the gym bag and leaves. So, I left this cause blank and this cause blank. In other words, what would cause this, and then what would cause that? See if you can figure out the cause of Skinner taking the wrong bag. Then invent the cause of that event. It's not too complicated, but make sure you really have the cause and not what merely happened before it. Hit the stop button here and take your time. Wrestle with it. Then come back and I'll show you what I came up with. There are many right answers. And don't worry if you're a little bit frazzled. That's part of the learning process. The experts in learning have discovered that the harder it is to learn something, the more it sticks in your brain. If it's easy to learn, it's easy to forget. The more you wrestle with it and think it through and apply what you've learned, the more it'll stick in your brain, especially when I show you how I did it, and you'll be able to compare what you did to what I do, and then you'll be like, oh, so I had this part right, but the thing that was stumping me, now I see what he's talking about. He kept saying that over and over again, but now I really get it because I was stuck right there. So it's that kind of process. So don't be afraid of this. This is how you learn it. This is it. Okay, so go ahead and hit the stop button, wrestle with it, take your time, come back, and I'll walk you through my solution for it. Okay, so we're saying Skinner beats up the bank president who resisted, then picks up the gym bag and leaves. My take on the cause of that is the bank president challenges Skinner, who drops the bag with the money in it next to an identical bag without noticing that there are two of them. The cause of that, Skinner starts to leave with the money, but the nervous bank president freaks out and jumps up. You're literally making it up. That's part of the functionality of this tool, is it helps you develop your story, but it gives you a nice tight track that keeps the forward action of your story going. Keeps you from wandering off on tangents by wanting to know what is the cause rather than what merely happened before it. Okay, so let's review cause and effect to plant it in your brain. There are two main tricks to it. First, you work backwards from the ending, chaining back from each effect to its cause. You don't want to know what happened before it, but what caused it. And second, you work from the general to the specific. You start by doing reverse cause and effect for the overall story and get that right. If the big picture doesn't work, then the details do not matter. Then you break the overall story down into acts and you do reverse cause and effect for each act. Now it becomes necessary to invent a little more detail than you had for the overall story. You do this for all the acts so that you've now woven a bit more detail into the structure of the overall story. A sequence is a major section of an act. Say it's a comedy about a family vacation that goes all wrong and ends up bringing the family together. In Act 1, there might be the opening sequence in which the frantic family scrambles to make it to the plane on time, and we see that they all hate each other. Then you have the arrival sequence in which they arrive at the fancy waterfront house they rented, but they all fight over who gets which room and what they're going to do that day. Then you have the boating disaster sequence, in which they argue so much on their boat ride that they crash into the snobby neighbor's yacht and create a huge expensive mess. Those three sequences constitute Act 1. The opening sequence, the arrival sequence at the house, and the boating disaster sequence. So we apply reverse cause and effect first to the overall story. Then we apply it to each act. Then we apply it to each sequence. Then we apply it to the first scene. And then we write that scene. We type it up as pages in the script. Then we apply reverse cause and effect to the next scene. And then we type that scene up. And we keep doing it for each scene, typing them up until we've got a finished draft. Make the big picture work, then make each act work, then make each sequence work, then make each scene work. We're working systematically to structure the story so that it works dramatically. We're writing for a performance medium, so it must be actable and it has to grip an audience. What I teach is the craft of the dramatist. All the tools that I teach work together to help make your stories work dramatically. Your story should have a good, strong dilemma, in which your protagonist is trapped between two equally painful choices. That dilemma should build to a crisis, which forces a decision and action about the dilemma, and leads to a resolution of the dilemma. The way in which the protagonist resolves the dilemma expresses the theme of your script. In other words, you look at the protagonist's resolution of the dilemma, and you look at the way in which the protagonist resolves the dilemma, and that allows you to put your finger very specifically on the theme of the script. You can work with the 36 dramatic situations to build, develop, complicate, deepen, clarify, and dimensionalize your stories. The 36 dramatic situations are things like madness, disaster, ambition, the necessity of sacrificing loved ones. They're elements with which to build stories. You can utilize the Enneagram, a system of 9 personality types based on ancient wisdom about human nature and cutting-edge psychology, to deepen, develop, dimensionalize, and flaw your characters. It's a remarkable tool. Good research and brainstorming helps build great stories. The central proposition knits all the various parts of your story together into a coherent whole by focusing on your story's central conflict. So I'll be teaching a 2-year training program, professional level training that will really deeply instill professional level capability, know-how in all of these tools, and all of them functioning together to build scripts. And my tool, Sequence Proposition Plot, is a unique and innovative tool that is equal parts plot construction and script development. I've taught it to development executives from all the major Hollywood studios, and they consistently say that it's the most advanced development tool in the industry. And most interestingly for you in this course, reverse cause and effect is part of that tool. So let's get a look at that. So that you're being trained here in the first part of the tool, Sequence Proposition Plot. The sequence in Sequence Proposition Plot is reverse cause and effect, also known as reverse sequence of cause and effect. Okay, so if you like the class, please hit the like button. It really helps. Please subscribe so you get new classes as I put them out. And please check out my 3-month and 2-year training programs for writers at script.kitchen. I'll train you to expert capability at this tool and the rest of my 7 tools. Thanks. If you like this class, you can download this free ebook by going to this link right here and subscribing to my website.